In this tutorial, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator CC2020 Classroom book to go through Chapter 5, which is all about transforming artwork and creating this infographic. So let's go ahead and go to our L5 start. Let's do a file save as. And let's go ahead and change it to a first initial, last name, underscore Adobe Illustrator, Classroom in a Book, Chapter 5. Keep it as Adobe Illustrator and put it in your Lesson 5 folder, and let's go ahead and press save. Alright, for this one we're going to do quite a few things, working with artboards, working with how to manipulate some shapes that are already there. Let's go ahead and make sure we're in Window, and let's make sure we're in Essentials. I'm going to go ahead and do we're going to go ahead and start working with our artboards. So you can see if we zoom out, Control minus, we've got a couple different things on our pasteboard that don't necessarily have artboards. So we're going to go ahead and add a few artboards. So the first thing we're going to do is do our selection tool. And then we're going to go ahead and go to Edit Artboards over here in Properties. It's going to turn kind of a different color gray, and the artboards are going to get another color. So let's go ahead over here to the right hand side, and let's go ahead and draw a box. It's about 800 pixels or so. Doesn't have to be exactly right. We can go ahead and adjust that. So what we'll go ahead is look over in our properties panel, and now we can go over to our width. Let's go ahead and make that width into, make sure this is so it's there, not constrained together. So we want to go 800 wide, and let's go ahead and make it 850 wide and hit enter. We're going to go ahead and get that box, and let's change the name on this one. So where it says name, it says Artboard 2, let's go ahead and change it to back, because this would technically be the back of our artboard. Go ahead, tab or enter, and so now it says back. If I do a Control plus, and let's go ahead and add a new artboard. So let's go ahead and go to the properties panel, and we can go to artboard. If we go here to the plus, it says new artboard. If we do plus, it'll make one exactly the same as the last one. And we're going to go ahead and change that artboard name to front. Now, when we're working with artboards, we can see quite a few different things. They really appear in the order that we make them. So let's go ahead and do a view. Let's do fit all in window. And we're going to go ahead and rearrange a few of these. So let's zoom out a couple times, so Control minus. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange some of these. I'm going to go ahead with, we're still in the artboard mode. We can tell it's right over here. We're in artboard mode. And we're going to drag this one called front. This one should be called front. Artboard 3 should be called front. I'm not sure if I did that or not. Enter. I'm going to drag the front over to the side over here, because that's going to be the front of my document, and this is going to be the back. So we're pretty good so far. Let's go ahead, and when we're in the when the artboard selected, that preset menu allows you to change the artboard, change the size. So you could, if you wanted to, go here to the presets and see there's quite a few of number of items that are already created for you that allow you to create some mock-ups pretty much on the fly. So that's pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and click on this larger artboard right here in the middle, and we can tell that we've got a little bit of extra here. So let's go ahead and resize that artboard, bring it up to the bottom, and let go. And when it snaps to the bottom, go ahead and release that mouse button. And let's go ahead and do exit up here at the top. And so now we have our 3 different artboards. So now if we do our view, fit all in window, we can see we've got those 2 artboards. So now if we use our artboard tools right here and we try to scroll through them down here at the bottom, it'll go in order of the ones there are been created in, and we might not necessarily want them that way. So let's go ahead and select that artboard tool, and we can go to this one called 3. Let's zoom out a little bit. Go to the one called 3, and if we shift click, the other 2 will select those others at the same time. So 1, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. Use my space bar, I'm going to shift click and grab all three of those at once. And we can go ahead and align those and make them nice and organized for us. So if we look on our properties panel, we've got our align tools. We're going to go second over here from the right, which is align vertical center. It's going to go ahead and snap all three of those together for us. So that's makes it so you don't have to necessarily eyeball what's going on. So let's go ahead, while we're still in the Artboard editing mode, let's go ahead and click in this middle one, which says Artboard 1. And let's go ahead and we can go over here to our Artboard options. Instead of Artboard 1, let's call it Inside. And hit Enter. So now we've got front, inside, and back. So, but we're still bouncing between the three because of the order they're created. So let's go to Window. Let's come down here to Artboards. And this is where we can reorder some of those artboards. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one that says front and bring it up above inside, and where I can do back now. So now if I do 1 through 3, it's going to walk me through left to right. I can also go through here, say I have an extra artboard, I can go through and delete them here in this part of the element. So let's go ahead and do a Control S and save what we've got so far. And so we have reordered those artboards. And if you wanted to, you could also rename them right here if you hadn't renamed them already. And let's go ahead and exit out of that one. Next thing we're going to do is let's bounce over to our rulers and grids, and we're going to go ahead and move some things around. So when we're in our, let's look back out to our selection tool, let's go ahead and turn our rulers on. It's over here on our properties panel. And you can see right now my ruler, if I right click, is in pixels. So let's go ahead and take it and make it points instead. What's important to notice about our rulers is that it starts counting from the outside of your artboard itself. So you can, because there must be something down here. So we want to go ahead and play with that ruler origin. So let's go ahead with our view, fit all in window. We've got our show ruler on. We're going to click each of the artboards. So when I click on the artboard itself, we get kind of a darker line around it. You can see that the 0 is reset each time for each artboard. So let's go ahead and click in the one in for number 1. And let's go ahead and we only have one active artboard at a time. Let's do a Control plus so we can see a little bit more. And let's go ahead and drag a ruler down. So let's go to the top and drag down to about 600 pixels. Now if you don't get it exactly right, that's all right, because we can go through and adjust those. We can also zoom in a bunch so we can actually see the numbers. It should make your life a little bit easier. So I'll grab this one, grab that guide, bring it down, bring it up actually. Alright, so we've got that there, and it's at 599, so let's go ahead and make it at 600. And that'll bump that just close. Alright, so now I've got that guide on that one. So let's go ahead and, after creating it selected, it color matches the layer that it's on. So we can see the guide is blue. If we look at the layer, that layer is the blue. So that is exactly right. So with the guide still selected, go ahead and select it back up so it's nice and bright blue for us again. You can always go to that, obviously the properties panel, and readjust that Y just in case you didn't hit the 600. And instead of being in what we're in right now, let's go ahead and drop it down into inches instead. Now that's going to change both rulers on both sides. Let's do Control S and save what we've got so far. So now what we're going to do is edit that ruler origin. So you can take in your top left hand corner, grab that crosshairs and bring it down over into the bottom corner, and now 0 will be reset for that document. So sometimes you want to go ahead and move it around. So if we look at the property panel, now if we click on our guide, it comes up as a minus because this is happening at a different point than it was before. So if we go ahead, we can, if we double click, it will reset it back to where it was before. It'll put 0 back where it was, so we can move it around. So just kind of an idea of learning how to play with those different ideas. We can also lock the guides in order to help them from being selected. So let's go ahead. We've got our Y value. Let's go ahead and take that Y. Let's make it a guide. Well, let's put it, yeah, let's leave it where it is, and let's do a lock guides. So if you look at your properties panel, I've got to have my guide selected. You will have an option to, it's not selecting. There we go. You'll have an option to go ahead and lock that guide. And select, deselect. Here we are. Here's my guides. And you get that second one over, which has got the lock guide. So that way you can't accidentally grab it when you're trying to move things around. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is play with transforming some content. So we're going to go ahead and with the front artboard showing, which is this one here, we're going to go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to see we've got that windy condition. I'm going to control minus and zoom out. We're going to go ahead and move this windy condition up here to the this front. So this is basically the front of our thing. So before we can do that, let's have our selection tool selected. Let's go to View, Hide Bounding Box, and that's going to make it so we can grab these elements here without accidentally resizing them. So let's go ahead and grab that pointer and drag it up to our front cover. Nudge it a little bit with your arrows if you need to. And let's go ahead and do a view and show bounding box. So now if you turn it back on, you could accidentally resize it. So by turning it off, it makes it so we can't resize that. So let's go ahead and do something with the back cover. And let's come over here to our view, fit all on window. And we're going to go ahead and click on this blank artboard. So it's technically our back one. We're going to select this blue shape. It's got the windmill on the back. And we're going to go to our transform section over here. And in our transform section, we're going to go ahead and select the upper left point. And now we're going to go ahead and tell X value to be 0. And we're going to tell that Y value to be 0. And it's going to automatically pop that up there for us. So let's go ahead and do a Control S and save. And I'm going to go ahead and break this one into another part. So we'll pick back up with some scaling the objects.